This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder that Capital One Bank Guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also tell you about how Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bankguy. Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
If staying in control matters to you, Wix gets it. That's why they created Wix Harmony. It's a website builder that helps create a business-ready site fast, while still allowing full control over every detail. Just describe what you want your site to do, or click and customize anything directly. Join millions of people who already use Wix and try Wix Harmony for free at wix.com/harmony.
Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage, because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck and Jerry's here too. And this is Stuff You Should Know. And what we've got on our hands today, Chuck, is a hot potato of a real deal geological mystery.
Hot potato?
Mm-hmm.
That's how Emily's family says potato.
I think I would only say it when it's preceded by hot. I would only say it like I wouldn't say, I'm going to have a baked potato. Like you'd be out of your mind to say it like that.
Nor would you say a hot potato. Like, what a square.
Yeah, that is pretty square, isn't it?
Get the stick out of your butt, fella, and loosen up.
Right. Loosen up. Get the cardigan out from around your shoulders.
Yeah, jeez.
So that was obscure, but still. So like I said, this is a mystery today. And just to give a brief brushstroke overview with the widest brush, real lot of space in between bristles, just barely any paint on it. That kind of overview.
Oh, wow.
What we're talking about is something called the Younger Dryas, which is a pretty terrible name for this if you want to be catchy, right?
Yeah. I mean, okay. I think a lot of people would probably say WTF.
Right. Well, let's just call it the YD if we're gonna put initials on things. How about that? Or abbreviate things. So the YD, the Younger Dryas, is this surprising, shocking period in Earth's history, fairly recent history, where we came out of the last ice age. Everything was going smoothly. And then, bam, we got hit by another ice age out of nowhere. And that lasts for over 1,000 years. And then, bam, it goes away just as fast as it came along. And paleogeologists, paleoclimatologists, all the paleos are perplexed as to what caused it and then why it stopped so suddenly, too. That's why I said it's a real deal geological mystery. Yeah.
And a time, as we'll see, where the earth and its inhabitants and animals and nature was all going like, all right, thank God we can finally get down to business and start being an earth, like a legit earth. And then, the YDs come along and say, not so fast.
Right. And you call it a legit earth because when it finally ended, and actually that period in between the last ice age and the YD, those are like really habitable for human beings. Like we love those kind of conditions, so much so that after the YD ended, it became the age of humans.
Yeah.
Like this is the age where we began our civilizations, we started farming, we began to flourish as a species and basically take over the planet. And what's interesting is this is the most recent ice age. There have been 7 in Earth's history. And just as an aside, this was the Wisconsinian ice age that we're talking about. The last one was 250 million years before, right? So it's pretty significant that we just, geologically speaking, came out of an ice age because there's not that many. And then, not coincidentally, when the second to last ice age ended, that opened the door for the dinosaurs to come along and take over the Earth. So big things happen when an ice age changes. So for it to switch back to an ice age all of a sudden and then switch back to nice and temperate for us humans, it is just very weird. It was actually, I've seen it described as an extreme weather millennial event.
Yeah, and it kind of made me wonder, had this not happened, because we were sort of headed toward, legit Earth, like I said before, it would obviously wouldn't change the year, but let's say as far alongness goes, we would be like the year 3000 something.
Right.
Like, would we be just that much further along as a planet, or would we be nowhere because in 1,000 years we will have already destroyed ourselves?
The second one.
Okay. All right. So it's a good thing this happened, or we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So yeah, that's a really anthropic way of looking at it.
Well,
speaking of, I bought a copy of If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, the Eliezer Yudkowsky, Nate Soros book that just came out.
Okay. I did not know about it. You say that as if it was just on the tip of my tongue, which I appreciate.
No, you do. We remember I basically mischaracterized it in the Zizians episode and had to make a whole...
that's
okay,
right.
That book, right, about building AI, and if anyone builds it, then we're all going to die. Like, just the existential threat of AI. It is really good. You could read it if you had a day that you could dedicate to reading it, you could read it in a day. It's really popularly written, lots of really cool anecdotes. It's just very good. So I strongly recommend that book.
Great.
Okay, so let's kind of just back it up a little bit and go to the previous ice age, the Wisconsinian ice age, and talk about what Earth looked like that.
Yeah, so it was very icy. There were huge ice sheets covering a lot of Earth, like most of North America, Northern Europe, and Asia. And as we'll see, a lot of the YD is affected the Northern Hemisphere much more than the Southern, but also weird things happen in the Southern Hemisphere that don't quite jive. That's why it's such a kind of a strange mystery. But lots of ice everywhere. We had barren plains, very harsh conditions. We had things like, woolly mammoths, like ice-loving creatures dwelling the earth, and, human populations that were sparse and scattered and constantly kind of moving around, trying to survive.
Right. And so the last ice age started about 100,000 years ago, and it took about 80,000 years to reach its peak point. So 20,000 years ago, it hit what's called the last glacial maximum, right? So it took 80,000 years to get there, and then 10,000 years to basically melt. It melted a lot faster than it developed. And just like right after it peaked, it just started warming up. And it took about 9,000 years. And all of the ice sheets, all the glaciers, all the stuff that was covering Earth and keeping it in an ice age just basically went away. And Earth just blossomed into a version that we like.
Yeah. And it became, not terribly unlike what we're looking at now. There was a jump in temperatures that was, kind of close-ish to today. And this was called and I never know how to pronounce.
It's an umlaut.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Yes. So all of our Nordic friends, the circle with the forward slash through, or the O with the forward slash through, that's an umlaut, right?
Okay. I mean, I guess we call it the null set because it looks like a zero with a slash through it.
So call it that.
I mean, we don't really call it that, but that's what it looks like.
Pronounce it like that.
All right. What with the umlaut?
No, the null set.
No. I wouldn't know how to do that. With the umlaut, I guess my best stab would be the Burling Alarud interstadial.
I think you nailed it.
All right. A lot more rain. We achieved a sea level that's not what we have today, but about half of what we have today. With that rain, obviously, you're going to get a lot of plants. The woodlands are thriving. Animals are forest dwelling and walking alongside things like cave bears and woolly mammoths. And things were going pretty good. We have Homo sapiens at this point are the only humans that are around at this point. And they're loving life, man. They're saying, all right, we can travel a little bit more. And as we'll see, kind of stick their toe in settling here and there.
Yeah, this was actually right before this was the point when people from Eurasia migrated into North America. So this is the point where they were cut off. They couldn't go back. There's no going back. They were in North and South America now because the Bering Land Bridge was covered up by those rising sea levels, which turned it into the Bering Sea. And this time, so remember, we're talking about this little period after the end of the Ice Age, before the YD comes along, where everything seems to be going smoothly for humans. This is where we started taking our first stabs at agriculture.
Yeah.
We're just like, let's try something new. We just came out of an Ice Age. Let's just get as funky as we can with it. And we're going to basically take some of that energy and that time that we dedicate to hunting and gathering and put it into farming. I just made that word up, but let's call it that from now on.
They're like, what is farming? And they're like, you're doing it right now, buddy. I see you over there picking weeds.
Exactly.
And tending to those wild plants. And that's basically the, kind of, I guess, the argument for the beginning of agriculture, at least, right?
Yeah, where we basically said, that's a good looking plant. Let's just try to make that one grow as well as we can.
That's right. So things are going along swimmingly. People are not moving around as much. They enjoy sitting for the first time and things like that. And then all of a sudden, the YD comes along and the glacial conditions return in the broad sense, in a very quick way. How long did it take? The whole thing was like 1,000 years, but we reached kind of close to that last glacial maximum in about 500 years.
Yeah, I think by 100 years, it was really like in full swing. And then, 500 years is basically like the Ice Age is back.
I wonder if they were like, hey, does anyone think it's getting colder?
Right. No, just keep farming and be quiet.
Right, yeah. Just keep planting those plants.
We should also say Kyle helped us with this, and he said that the younger Dryas came along and spoiled the party. That's truer than you would think, because right before this, in that Booling-Allerod interstadial, was when we started making beer too. So that got disrupted as well.
We'd be so much drunker today.
So another reason we would have wiped ourselves out in just
true.
one global bar fight, basically.
Yeah.
So this kicks off 1,300 years of really, really cold weather. And then all of a sudden it just stops. And it comes along, it like happened starting about 100 years, 500 years into it. It was really basically back to Ice Age conditions in a lot of places. But when it stopped, it swung back to nice and humid even faster. And there's actual ice cores from Greenland that show that Greenland, in 10 years, the average temperature increased by 18 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius. That is insane. And for comparison, so the global warming that's going on today that scientists are quite concerned about, and thinking people as well, that's a rise of 2 degrees Fahrenheit, not 18 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Fahrenheit in about 20 decades. We're talking about 18-degree rise in 1 decade. That's how fast this thing warmed up. Yeah.
That's super quick. And again, whenever you talk about this kind of stuff, you got to zoom out and look at it from a sort of macro point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's super fast and got super hot. And also super cold previously during the YDs, which was named, by the way, after a flower. The Dryas octapetala. Yeah, nailed it. And the odd thing about this flower and why they named the YDs after it is that it thrives in cold Arctic regions. It's one of these flowers that loves the ice, kind of the mountains of Scandinavia.
Mm-hmm.
And in the late 1800s, like the 1870s, Swedish scientists were studying clay deposits that they discovered this flower. And they were like, this flower shouldn't be here between these layers of clay. It was deposited by melting glaciers, but none of that makes any sense.
No, because you've got clay from melting glaciers above it and clay from melting glaciers below this flower, and this flower thrives in temperatures where the glaciers are not melting at all. So it was a huge mystery. And then what made it even more mysterious is that it was confirmed by other clay deposits elsewhere in Scandinavia. So there was definitely something weird going on. And they named it Younger Dryas because there actually had been an older Dryas before that was not nearly as much of a bizarre freak as the Younger Dryas was.
That's right. So we got the OD, we got the YD.
Mm-hmm.
Should we take a break? Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good time for a break, yeah?
Yeah, yay.
All right. We'll be right back.
Chuck and Josh. Stuff you should know.
Hey everybody, we're here to talk to you about Wayfair, who believes that spaces should be functional, they should be comfortable, they should be well designed, and they can be well designed by you with their help.
Your updated space should feel more comfortable, inviting, and practical for everyday use. And we're talking about outdoor seating. We're talking about grills. We're talking about major appliances. If you need storage solutions, Wayfair can help you out. Patio lighting, rugs, decor. It is your one-stop shop for home.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting nice out, so it's time to think about living outdoors for the next few months. And Wayfair knows that outdoor furniture, it's heavy, it's intimidating to assemble. So Wayfair has stepped in and said, we're going to handle the hard part so you don't have to.
That's right. You can shop Wayfair Verified, your shortcut to the good stuff. And that means their team of product specialists are going to vet everything by hand using a 10-point inspection, testing things like, quality materials, functionality, and features, and even how long it takes to build that piece of furniture. And the overall experience save time, reduce hassle, and improved convenience.
Patio season is here, and these deals won't last. So head to wayfair.com right now to get your outdoor space ready for way less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments that matter. For the moments you plan and the ones you don't. Built for the busy days that turn into all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken.
Yeah, the times you're deep in your flow and the absolute last thing you need is an auto update throwing off your momentum. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to the way you actually work. Built with a long-lasting battery so you're not scrambling for the closest outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it.
That's right. They don't build tech just for tech's sake. They build it for you. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. On eBay, every find has a story. Like if you're looking for a vintage band tee, not just a tee, the band tee from the last show your favorite band ever played. You wore it everywhere. Then your girlfriend started wearing it, which was cute, until she dumped you and took it with her, which was not so cute.
Yeah, well, anyway, now you're on eBay. And there it is. Same tee from the same tour. Still living in your memory, rent-free forever.
See, the things you love have a way of finding their way back to you. But eBay isn't just for getting whatever your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend stole back, right?
No, it's also for that rare championship foul ball you caught, then heroically gave to the kid next to you. And where else are you going to find your first car? The one you wish you'd never sold. But now, finally get the chance to take it back home. For good this time.
So shop eBay for millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
So, Chuck, we've been talking like pretty big shots, pretty confident here, right?
Yeah, a couple of tough guys.
Exactly. And the reason why we're doing that is because of ice core samples, a lot from Greenland, also from Antarctica, and sedimentation from high-altitude European lakes. That's why we're talking so tough right now.
Yeah, and those are big deals. You can find out a lot from an ice core. You can find out like basically what it accumulated there, like stuff that the wind blew in there from other places. They've got these little bubbles in that ice, and you can trace gases even that were present back then and compare to like other parts of the world at that time. And like, we have these gases here. We have this sediment here. We have a distinct lack of pollen for this period here, which means like probably a lot of plant life was killed off and stuff like that. And then the lake stuff is super valuable too, right?
Yeah, because constantly sediment is accumulating at the bottom of a lake, and very similar stuff's getting trapped down there, like air bubbles, soot, pollen, all that stuff. And it just gets deposited year after year, and you can actually date that stuff. You can take a sample of a lake bottom and date that, and then see what was going on around the lake at that time too. And lakes are advantageous because they're all over the world. Ice shelves and glaciers are not all over the world. So you're limited from where you can take ice cores. And then also lakes can last like thousands of years, whereas if you're reading tree rings, you're reading maybe decades, maybe a century or two worth. A lake, it's going to give you way more than that. So it's pretty clever the way that they can take this stuff, not only figure out when this sediment deposit or this ice deposit was put down, but also what like a lack of pollen or what type of pollen means for like the world at large at the time. I just think that's pretty cool that humans are able to do that. And they don't seem to just be making this up.
You know, a very niche, nerdy stuff you should know t-shirt could just be lake bottom greater than symbol tree ring.
That's a super nerdy. I think that would actually offset the be dumb and happy one that you got generated.
I think so. But just, you know, you walk around like Comic-Con and somebody will say, I know exactly what you're doing, buddy.
Mm-hmm. And they'll just silently walk past you and give you the high five and the low five without stopping.
Right. But it'll be a sort of a nerdy, they'll miss the high five. It won't be quite right.
Right.
They'll try and fist bump you when you put up your hand or something.
Or they lock fingers with you on the low five, and you guys keep trying to go in different directions.
That's got to be the worst. I thought the fist bump and the hand together was the worst, but
that's pretty
when
bad.
You high five and someone holds on and locks fingers,
then
not what you're after.
It's so weird.
Oh, goodness. I don't know why I think of Oprah Winfrey when, has she ever done that?
I think she likes to raise people's hands like they just won a boxing match or something.
All right, so we're settling into the YD. I mentioned earlier that the northern hemisphere was the one that was really affected the most, especially around the North Atlantic. The southern hemisphere, we'll talk about some weird abnormalities there as well. But these ice sheets advanced across the Arctic Sea just like they did during the old LGM, the last glacial maximum. Mm-hmm. Is it glacial or glacial?
Oh, I don't know. Depends on whether you say potato or patata.
Yeah, I guess so. The Rockies here and would later be the United States expanded. The Alps expanded. They found very weird things like penguin-like creatures in southern Italy. Like things were getting really out of whack again, and everyone back then was like, WTF.
Yeah, and the like even if you weren't living in an iced over area, you know, basically due south of that was tundra. Like so, Western Europe, which is nice and verdant and lush right now, was tundra at the time. You got grasses, maybe a fox or two if you're lucky and you're bored just looking around, because it's not the most pleasant landscape to look at. Yeah. And remember, humans are running around at this time. I think we shrunk tremendously as a population down to maybe the highest estimate I saw was around 10 million people across the entire planet at this time.
That sounds nice, actually.
Yeah, kind of. Talk about elbow room. But all the plants and animals that had started to thrive in the middle, in between the Ice Age and the YD, they died back. And all the animals and plants that had died back during that interstitial period, they came roaring back, and they were like, we love the YD. We're happy again.
Yeah, for sure. I mentioned the pollen retreating, being evidence of like, you know, the tree cover going away, and they found evidence of that in ice core once again. This is in the Hulu cave in China, and it showed, you know, a drastic reduction in tree pollen, which, you know, basically you can infer that like, yeah, a lot of trees died out during this icy period. Right.
And from that, you can also infer that there was probably less rain because trees help generate clouds, and they also help keep the planet warm. So it was obviously a lot colder and a lot drier. That was the two characteristics of the YD. And then, like you said, the southern hemisphere experienced something radically different, right? So remember, northern Europe is covered in ice again. It's tundra right below that. And then if you go down to Antarctica, they basically hand you like a lei and a Hawaiian shirt and like a Mai Tai.
Yeah, it's so crazy. When I was going through this stuff, that to me was like the big reveal. I mean, I'm a big dummy when it comes to this stuff, so I just figured that would have been even colder and even worse. But temperatures actually rose in the southern hemisphere, and a lot of the southern hemisphere became warmer and wetter, and the sea surface temperatures increased in the Caribbean and the tropical Pacific, and the mountains of New Zealand saw warmer conditions. So it was like everything was kind of upside down all of a sudden.
Yeah, but you also mentioned earlier that it didn't happen. There were weird pockets here or there, which also goes to underscore how bizarre the Younger Dryas was. Like there's a basin around Venezuela, and it actually had temperatures drop. So this is the southern hemisphere, right? It saw a temperature drop of 3 degrees Celsius, 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And every time I see something like that, I'm like, so? Like, that's not that big of a deal.
Right.
It turns out it is a really big deal, even though to you, an average winter temperature of 55 going down to 50 doesn't sound all that bad. But climatologically speaking, any change in temperature, even by 0.5 degrees, has really huge weather consequences over, say, the course of a year. So in this case, dropping by 3 degrees Celsius or 5.5 degrees Fahrenheit, it might not have seen that much temperature-wise over an average winter, but it also opened up the door for way more freak weather. So they might have gone from like no blizzards whatsoever, maybe 1 blizzard a year, to 3 blizzards a year. And that definitely impacts local conditions and the life there. So it makes a really big difference even when you see little changes to average temperatures.
Yeah, for sure. There were likely some animal extinctions happening. You mentioned the amount of humans, which was at probably at an all-time high at this point, started going back lower and lower. Their available food was getting slimmer and slimmer. We mentioned they were dabbing their toe in the pond of kind of settling down a little bit and not hunting and gathering and traveling everywhere. And all of a sudden they had to pack it up and start moving around again to try and find food again.
Yeah, and there's the evidence that the human population contracted, meaning there was a lot of die-off. It shows up in archaeological sites like the Herensberg culture in present-day Germany, Austria, and Belgium. During the YD, the archaeological sites dropped by half compared to what they had been just before the YD, which suggests that there are a lot fewer people making a lot fewer camps or villages. And then also significantly, in North America, this is when the very famous Clovis culture just disappears from the record,
the Clovis. We did a whole episode on the Clovis.
Yeah, they used to pop up a bunch. Remember the whole Clovis First police and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, man, it feels like 1,000 years ago.
It really does. But so this is when they disappeared. And they don't think that the Clovis all just died off, but they think that these weather conditions and hardships for living basically dispersed them, and they started forming the prototypes to the bands of Native Americans that we see today.
Yeah, for sure. Another interesting thing is in sometimes in the times of trouble, there can be human advancement because you're struggling and need to think of better ideas on how to do what you're doing. And it seems like that might have happened with the hunting because the animals are more scarce, hunting is harder, the game is just not around. So this is where we saw at least one thing that we think might have been an advancement was the Harif point, Harif, which is basically a new and improved arrowhead came about, and they think it's probably because they were struggling and they needed to kill better.
Yes, and it was quite an innovation because the arrowheads they were using before were made of dandelion heads.
I know, and those, you know what? The animals loved them.
They did. They were like, dude, shoot me again.
Yeah, shoot one of those my way. I could use a laugh.
Right. And then also, Chuck, it really helps that there were people dabbling in agriculture before the YD came along, because it seems to have given the people related to them a bit of a leg up. Like they didn't have to figure out agriculture from scratch under these conditions. So in pockets where there was vegetation and a decent amount of game, people did settle down again in those areas. There's a place called the Zagros region, which is in modern Iran, which shows settlements that were basically probably not just hunting camps. They were probably permanent or semi-permanent settlements. So people did like sit down where they could and set up shop. And as a matter of fact, some people say, okay, people were kind of dabbling in agriculture before, but it was just dabbling. And in fact, that culture might not have been passed along. It is possible that the Younger Dryas did force humans to basically adopt agriculture because, again, remember, conditions are so terrible that whatever leg up you, a human, can give to this plant that you're going to eat later is invaluable. So that's basically what agriculture is helping plants along to make them grow better.
Yeah, and that became a challenge in a lot of ways, not just because of the ice, but they found, once again, in those ice deposits or the ice cores, they found air bubbles with a noted decrease in concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, these wild cereals that are growing, their yields are going to be way down. And, they had some, for the time, some fairly advanced agriculture burgeoning there. They were like pest control and like watering things, weeding things, transplanting things.
The basics.
Yeah, the very basics, but that's, the very beginnings. And this put a big sort of stop sign in front of all of that.
Yeah, like imagine being the guy who is watching the other guy pour water out of his Gazelle flask.
Yeah.
Onto like a little
the ground.
Yeah, like some wheat. Be like,
Yeah.
What are you doing? And they'd say, just watch. Just give me a couple thousand years and you're gonna be blown away.
Yeah. You want this water to be beer one day, fella?
Exactly.
Let me pour it on this grain.
Right. And then it magically turns into beer.
Oh man. Shall we take another break?
I think we shall, Chuck.
Chuck and Josh. Stuff you should know.
Dell PCs with Intel Inside are built for the moments that matter, for the moments you plan and the ones you don't. Built for the busy days that turn into all-night study sessions, the moment you're working from a cafe and realize every outlet's taken.
Yeah, the times you're deep in your flow and the absolute last thing you need is an auto update throwing off your momentum. That's why Dell builds tech that adapts to the way you actually work. Built with a long-lasting battery so you're not scrambling for the closest outlet, and built-in intelligence that makes updates around your schedule, not in the middle of it.
That's right. They don't build tech just for tech's sake. They build it for you. Find technology built for the way you work at Dell.com/Dell PCs. Built for you. On eBay, every find has a story. Like if you're looking for a vintage band tee, not just a tee, the band tee from the last show your favorite band ever played. You wore it everywhere. Then your girlfriend started wearing it, which was cute until she dumped you and took it with her, which was not so cute.
Yeah, well, anyway, now you're on eBay. And there it is. Same tee from the same tour. Still living in your memory, rent-free forever.
See, the things you love have a way of finding their way back to you. But eBay isn't just for getting whatever your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend stole back, right?
No, it's also for that rare championship foul ball you caught, then heroically gave to the kid next to you. And where else are you going to find your first car? The one you wish you'd never sold. But now, finally get the chance to take it back home. For good this time.
So shop eBay for millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
Spectrum Business keeps businesses of all sizes connected seamlessly with fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi, phone, TV, and mobile services.
That's right. And Spectrum Business offers 100% U.S.-based customer support 24/7 to help you stay up and running. And they offer tailored connectivity solutions with packages built for your business budget.
Yeah, so it's no wonder millions of business owners rely on Spectrum Business to keep them connected. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
All right, we should talk a second about something called solar insolation, not insolation, insolation with an O. And this is how much solar warmth reaches the Earth's upper atmosphere. And the basic pattern of, warming the globe is driven by this. And the younger Dryas is definitely like this weird, exceptional pocket that stands out. And because of this, everyone, that nerds out on this kind of stuff was like, well, we got to figure this out. I mean, why did this happen? And they have emerged with 4 main hypotheses. The one that has the most traction we're going to start with is the meltwater interrupting thermohaline circulation. And that sounds very sort of like sciencey and nerdy and like, guys, I hope you explain this, but it's really very simple.
It is.
It's that a bunch of water disturbed the cycle of the warming cycle of the ocean very, very quickly.
Yeah, specifically in the North Atlantic, which has this thing that you mentioned, the thermohaline circulation, which is where warm water, warmed by surface air on top of the ocean, falls down into the deep water. And as it does it, it displaces the cold water, which comes up to the top and gets warmed itself. Then it sinks and the cycle just keeps going on, right? And this is how warmth is delivered to the northern hemisphere, right? It moves northward. So the warmer seawater is always moving toward the north. So it's delivering warmth. And at the same time, that cold water upwells in the southern hemisphere. So it delivers cold to the southern hemisphere, which is why under normal conditions with the thermohaline circulation, the Antarctica is cold, and comparatively speaking, the northern hemisphere is warmer.
That's right. All right. So park that in your brain, and then understand that North America at the time had this huge 700-mile by 200-mile lake called Lake Agassiz, I guess.
Sure.
Agassiz, if you're an Andre Agassi fan. It developed as the Laurentide ice sheet and extended down to the Great Plains and blocked the Great Lakes. And all the rivers that were flowing there backed up, and it formed this big natural reservoir that was 700 by 200 miles big. And this theory holds, the meltwater theory holds, that as that last glacial maximum warmed things up, that ice sheet retreated, the block passage to those Great Lakes opened up, and all of a sudden billions and billions of gallons of fresh water make its way down to the North Atlantic. They think a similar sort of thing happened in the Nordic region. But you're like, all right, so that makes sense. But was this water like super cold or something? It was cold, but the main thing it did was desalinate that upper ocean water, right?
Yeah, and so fresh water is less dense than seawater, and so a bunch of fresh water mixed in with seawater makes it less dense than it normally would be, and it needs to be dense to fall down to the deep ocean, which makes the other deeper water come back up, right?
Yeah.
So that means that the thermohaline circulation is interrupted. And if you have an interruption in the thermohaline circulation, it just stops moving like that. You would expect to see the northern hemisphere get cold because there's warmth is not being delivered there any longer. You'd also expect to see Antarctica warm up because that cold, deep ocean water is not welling up around the very southern hemisphere. And that's exactly what you see with the younger Dryas. It's a really beautiful, elegant explanation that I think was hypothesized in 1982. And up until very, very recently, you were a fringy nut if you believed anything besides that as the explanation for where the younger Dryas came from.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me, but that's why I love science is people keep poking around, and the fringe nut maybe one day is proven somewhat right. And that, well, I still think that the meltwater is probably the reason why, but one of the other hypotheses is the impact hypothesis. And that is, like you said, was pretty controversial until more recently. It has gained a little bit of traction because some things do kind of add up. But the idea here is that a meteorite or a comet or something impacted the Earth, maybe an airburst even, and that released a thermal pulse that kind of set the world on fire almost, like all these massive wildfires across all the continents. The air is filled with soot. It's blocking sunlight. And in fact, there's so much soot, there's atmospheric dust such that you reduce solar radiation, and all of a sudden you have what's called an impact winter, or kind of like the idea of a nuclear winter.
Yeah, basically the same exact result, but just it was different things that got us there, right? So there's evidence for this that most people point to as like, this is pretty good evidence. There's something called a black mat, which is a layer of carbon matter that seems to be a soot deposit that you find all over North America and in parts of Europe. And all that suggests that there were wildfires going on different continents at the same time, which would suggest like some sort of massive comet or meteorite bursting and setting off this thermal pulse. So the fact that those things coincide on two different continents with the onset of the younger Dryas has definitely made the impact hypothesis much more popular than it was before. One thing detracting from it that probably makes some legitimate scientists wary of embracing it publicly right now is the writer and science contrarian Graham Hancock latched onto the impact hypothesis because he has this theory, I guess you could call it that there was an ancient apocalypse around the time that the Younger Dryas happened that wiped out massively advanced civilizations that we don't even know it really existed and reset humanity, and then we had to rebuild from there. There's not a lot of evidence, if any, for this stuff. It's really, really fascinating, but the evidence we do have, the scientific evidence we do have, doesn't set that up. But anyway, he basically said, see, this impact hypothesis supports my idea that there was an ancient apocalypse, and scientists tend not to agree with Graham Hancock much.
Yeah, and the other thing, there's a couple of more sort of smaller points that might support this. One is there was a platinum spike in South Africa that preceded the YD and in some other places, and platinum is, a lot of time within meteorites, so maybe some support there. And also sometimes people kind of combine the first one and say maybe there was an impact combined with this meltwater thing. So there was a low atmospheric explosion over North America, and that's what released all this meltwater all over the place.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's basically like handing an olive branch from one hypothesizer to another, Let's work together.
Yeah, let's go get a drink and just settle it.
Also, as an aside, remember our Göbekli Tepe episode?
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while. I don't remember exactly how to pronounce it. But we talked about how there was this guy who also kind of fringily concluded that some astronomical engravings at the site recorded the comet or the meteorite burst that happened at this time, which is kind of cool. But again, there's not a lot of evidence to support it. Moving on, there's a couple of other explanations that don't have nearly as much traction, but they do make sense. One is a supernova explosion. Supposedly a star went supernova in the Vela constellation at the right time that could have affected Earth by burning away its ozone layer, which would cool the upper stratosphere, which is the second most layer above Earth, which would prevent it from holding much water vapor. Water vapor is a greenhouse gas, and without a very strong greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, heat would just go out into space much more easily from Earth, and it would get cooler as a result. The problem with this one that I have is, wouldn't that happen all over the planet if the ozone layer was burned away by a supernova?
I think so.
So I'm gonna toss that one. Okay.
Yeah, nailed it. The last one is another sort of example where the sun is blotted out, so there's a massive drop in temperature very quickly. But this time it is because a volcano erupted, a massive volcano. This is the Lacher Sea volcano, not SEA, but SEE, because we all know that Germany doesn't have any water, right?
Yeah, well, it's landlocked, yes.
Yeah, but this is a German volcano. Of course, we're kidding. That's a reference to an older episode. We know all about the Black Sea. So hold your emails. But this volcano, it was definitely a mega eruption. It spewed 6.3, what is that even? Trillion? What is that?
That's a cubic kilometers.
So 3 million cubic kilometers?
No, 6.3 cubic kilometers.
To the third power, though.
No, so that's what makes it cubic. So if you took a kilometer of land.
Oh, yeah,
right,
yeah.
And you made it square, and you did 6.3 times. And then you also made it a kilometer tall. A cube that's 6.3 kilometers on each side.
Yeah.
Just of magma got released from that volcano. It was a massive eruption.
Yeah, I just outed myself in a mathematical way.
Well, finally you did. I'm the one who does it all the time.
Well, comparatively speaking, Mount St. Helens released 1 cubic kilometer. Vesuvius was 3, and this was 6.3. So the other interesting thing about this one is volcanoes can produce platinum.
Yeah.
Or at least, part of like groups of platinum metals. And that could account for that spike we talked about in South Africa.
Yes. And so the volcanic eruption hypothesizers frequently say, hey, how about this? A volcano erupted and attracted a comet that blew up over North America, which kicked off the melting of the ice caps, which caused
want to
the
be friends with
thermohaline
everybody.
circulation problem. Yeah, and then the supernova person's like, what about me? And they're like, sorry,
Yeah.
you're not
Josh
invited.
said you were dismissed.
Exactly.
All right, so that was the YDs. I guess we could talk a little bit about what happened afterward. Afterward is where we are, the Holocene period, and that was when the climate finally worked itself out. That pendulum stopped swinging, and things started warming up and stabilizing, and people started thriving again. The animals came out, the birds started chirping, the bees started pollinating, and it led to the not the modern era, but just what we know now as planet Earth.
Yeah, the beginnings of our era all find its roots in this time. Like this is where agriculture developed. This is where civilization first developed. Writing came along a few thousand years later. All of this happened in a really short period of time. Like essentially everything that has to do with like human civilization began in the 10,000 years immediately following the Younger Dryas.
Yeah, the current shape of our planet happened after the Younger Dryas, like the way the coastlines were shaped. I mentioned the Rockies and the Alps. Those mountain ranges all over the world. Even they I was about to say took their final shape. That of course that's not true, but took the shape that we know and love today.
Yeah, and that's actually one reason why it's difficult to track what humans were doing during the Younger Dryas, because the settlements that they had that were closer to the coastline then are now under hundreds of feet of ocean water and are probably just totally destroyed. So we lost a lot of archaeological sites because of that sea level rise. But it was a trade-off because, again, we have writing.
Yeah, that's right. And those wild cereals that we talked about that were having such a hard time, became Captain Crunch.
Yeah. And really, is there anything more you need to prove that humans have reached peak civilization than that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it for the YD, right, Chuck?
That's it for now. Who knows what's ahead?
Well put. And because Chuck said who knows what's ahead, truly, it's time for listener mail.
This is called Birthmark episode, because I think that might have been a selector. Maybe Patrick just listened to it again. I think so. That's what happened. Hey guys, listen to that episode again recently, because I have a birthmark that makes me perpetually look like I have a black eye. On a regular basis, someone will ask me some variation of like, who punched you? What happened to your face? I used to enjoy giving a clever story as a way to mess with them, like getting kicked out of a nightclub or squaring off with a bear, but I started to feel bad for lying even to my friends, even if only for a minute. So now I usually just take the boring route and explain that it's a birthmark. It's just subtle enough that friends can go years without noticing it even.
Wow.
But once it's brought to their attention, they can't unsee it. Many don't believe me when I tell them it's just a birthmark, and they think I'm trying to cover something up. My mom even told me that she was interrogated when I was a child by doctors.
Oh, wow.
And would get dirty looks from other parents when they noticed a mark on my face, and I feel bad that her experience of my birthmark has never been as fun as mine. Anyway, ever since my wife Christine introduced me to your show about 9 years ago, Stuff You Should Know has been a staple for us during house chores and road trips. Your chemistry together is very comforting, and we especially like hearing Josh make Chuck laugh. Do it right now.
Hot potato.
That actually worked. I was like, I'm going to have to fake a laugh here, but you got me.
Awesome.
Keep up the great work, guys. Thanks for making the two of us smile again and again and again. We've made them smile 3 times. All the best from Troutdale, Oregon. That is Patrick Burton.
Awesome, Patrick. Thank you for that. Patrick and his wife, Christine, right?
Yep.
So thanks to you both. And Patrick, I have to say, if you're going to have a birthmark that's not in the shape of Abraham Lincoln, the place that you have it is about as cool as it can be.
Agreed.
If you want to be like Patrick and Christine and let us know how long you've been listening to us and what you think, hopefully it's generally positive, you can send us an email too. Send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Geico presents a 30-second podcast between your podcast. Today's story is shared by one of our listeners. It's called Betrayed by Bill. It was in that moment I caught who was staring back at me in betrayal, or more like what? My insurance bill. With trembling hands, I grabbed my phone and switched to Geico, saving about $900 in the process, and never to be betrayed again. Now that was bloody riveting.
It feels good when the story ends with savings. It feels good to Geico.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids? Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever. We can play games with astronauts, wild animals, and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
You know, you could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days guaranteed or your money back. Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute, so Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, they are chef-inspired flavors, it's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love, and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.